Hello, friends. During the Tuesday titular event, two outstanding players, Alcantara and Jeffrey Sue, prevented Magnus Carlsen from claiming the top spot. So, the match began with a queen's pawn opening. Magnus responded by developing his knight, leading to old Indian defense being played. White seized the center with pawns, while black responded with pieces. Jeffrey chose the Ava-back variation, advancing slowly with his king's knight. Magnus executed a 2-0 castling move, and after the move bishop to e3, the main continuation would be pawn to e5, pressuring the opponent's central pawn. Instead, Carlsen invited fire onto himself. Jeffrey picked up the gauntlet and began aggressively attacking the enemy knight, while also capturing pawns. Next, Sue prepared for castling, while Carlsen finally undermined the center. White exchanged on e6, creating a threat of a knight fork, which was countered by black with queen to e7, moving the king to a safer spot. By the end of the opening, white gained a spatial advantage and a freer game. Black, as is often the case in the old Indian defense, relied on tactical tricks. The American grandmother then shifted his bishop to a long diagonal. Moving bishop to b7 was not recommended due to the double attack on the knight and the bishop. If captured on f3, white would take on f6, and then e7, attacking the rook and gaining an extra piece. Consequently, in the game, Magnus gathered his rook on b8, while Jeffrey connected his rooks. Magnus completed his development, and the rook moved to threaten the queen. Carlsen ensured a secure position for his knight, preventing b4 advance. Jeffrey moved his king to the corner of the board before starting active operations. After the move knight to e5, Sue confidently sacrificed his knight to open up his rook's line and disrupted the enemy's position with pawn to f5. It turned out that if white took on f5, white would capture with the pawn, attacking the queen. White also captured on g6 with the bishop. With such a weakened king, black's position was precarious. Thus, in our match, the 16th world champion faced a fierce onslaught from Jeffrey Sue, who became the victor. Magnus managed to capture a pawn on g4, hoping to fend off the attack and transition to a winning endgame. However, Sue was not to be trifled with that evening. He launched an attack on the knight, pinning black's pieces along the g-file. Magnus defended with queen to h4, aiming at the pawn on h2. White created another attack and could have prolonged resistance with a move like e4, attacking the rook. Taking the pawn was not an option due to threats on b2, and moving to h3 was not possible due to the black knight's check. Instead, Magnus defended his knight, allowing his opponent to activate his pieces. White covered the f2 square, threatening a lethal rook move to h3 with subsequent capture on h5. This led to severe losses for black, and the Norwegian found himself in a hopeless position. After a rook move to f5, Sue exchanged queens, captured a pawn, and attacked the bishop. Black's desperate final move was rook to f7, but now the two white knights rendered the black king's position untenable. On the 31st move, Magnus resigned, as capturing would lead to immediate disaster. So, friends, this was a brutal defeat of Magnus Carlsen by American grandmother Jeffrey Sue, who emerged as the winner.